design your life, keeping death as the end.
I understand very well what you're talking about because I have seen death very close. I nearly died myself several times. I lost people I loved. There were things I wish I have said or wish I haven't said, the other way around. And so the process is almost like a lot with the self-forgiveness. You have to forgive yourself. And then once that's completed, then you find peace and gratitude. You're watching Yana TV, where we have heart-to-heart conversations with changemakers of Asia. My name is Yana Fry, and today our guest is Sandeep Nath. And we're going to talk about something really, really deep. We're going to talk about death, dealing with death, dealing with grief, and the tips and tools that will help you to get through that. And fundamentally, just understanding on a deeper spiritual level, what is the transition from one reality to another, and how can you make peace with yourself for the rest of your life? So you mentioned that you met your wife at the monastery, and that was a life-changing experience, and you guys connected, you got married, and she became your partner, and also your teaching partner. You traveled the world together, and you lost her recently.
I lost.
Very recently. That was like a month ago? June, right? So June 2024. And here you are in the studio, and you're talking about all of that. Mm-hmm. And I see a very content, very relaxed, very happy-looking man. So I'm just wondering, how did you deal, or how are you dealing with that?
So let's start in the shallow waters. Life and death are part of a package. Okay, there cannot be life without death, and the acceptance of that. The acceptance of death removes the stress in death. How do we accept death? However sudden or however planned it might be, could be either way. We accept it by knowing that, I call it the IIDN principle, which is, if I die now, IIDN. If I die now, is whatever I'm doing worth doing? Because if the answer is no, I recommend you stop doing it and do something with a higher priority in your life, with a higher purpose in your life. My wife and I were scoring full marks on the IIDN. So either of us could have popped it any time and we would be extremely content. We would also feel that we have moved in the direction where we made the kind of contribution that we wish to in the world. Now, personally, since both of us are Buddhists and Tibetan Buddhists, the Tibetans have done a lot of work in this space of energy.
Yes, I mean, very famous, the Book of Death.
The Book of Death.
So one of the most famous one, and just how they explore, I mean, reincarnation idea, right? So that nothing, it's not the ending, it's not the
transition.
ending. Yes, the transition.
Which they call the Bardo. Mm-hmm. So my wife and I were both very interested in the Bardo state. So we had done fairly advanced practices which take you in a simulated experience. When you do that, and you know that there is an impending death, because hers was not sudden. She was diagnosed beyond, she had certain resistance cells which were beyond medical science. Mm-hmm. So she was just working with energy, and she was in great spirits till the last 2 days. It was only in the last 2 days that we realized that, hey, this is it. But she was in the great spirits, she was working with the energy because she was focused on where this could go. And she was actually looking forward to the journey. She's making a trip into the Bardo, and I'm making trips to places like Singapore and various other places which were on her to-do list, but not the high priority ones. Mm-hmm. Yes. The high priority ones she'd finished.
Have you experienced grief at all as an emotion?
I'll tell you, it was in 2011 when I experienced grief at the loss of my Doberman. He taught me this after he went, that I hadn't thanked him enough. And the gratitude that I felt for Victor, it washed away my grief. And from then on, I've made that part of this inner power suite to practice gratitude for everybody while they're around.
So do you feel that the grief is then connected to regret?
The grief is connected to regret of not having expressed in body, mind,
Yes,
and
and spirit. So if everything is expressed in the body, mind, and spirit, then I'm just wondering, does it mean that like we entirely bypass grief, or is it a very short period of time, or it gets transformed into something else like gratitude?
It gets transformed greatly into gratitude. Every time you think of the person, you can either grieve or you can be grateful.
Okay. So that's the choice also, right?
But you might not have been grateful enough while the person was around you. Don't take anything for granted. That
How
changes.
your wife, late wife, transitioning wife, I don't know how to call it now, right? How did she influence your books?
The next book that I'm planning is going to be dedicated to her. In fact, that one's dedicated to mom. This one's dedicated to dad, who I lost 2 years ago. And, he is an epitome of both emptiness and success.
I love that. I love that. So then the third book is coming. I assume it's going to be about dealing with death.
It is. In fact, I'm looking at unraveling death in a very different way as part of the package. Because it's like the wise people say, you start with the end in mind, and then you can do the project much more efficiently. Well, your project is life. So you design your life, keeping death as the end. Where do you want to be?
To me, I understand very well what you're talking about, because I have seen death very close. I nearly died myself several times. I lost people I loved, animals I loved. There were things I wish I have said or wish I haven't said, the other way around. And so the process is almost like a lot with the self-forgiveness. You have to forgive yourself.
Yeah.
And then once that's completed, then you find peace and gratitude. Yeah. However, now moving forward, and also what you shared, and also all the other books that are written about death at the moment in the world, it's teaching us fundamentally how to live.
That's right.
This is what death is doing. I'm very conscious of death. Like, I know that it's inevitable for me, for all my family members, for all people I love. So, and I don't know when it's going to happen. So every morning when I wake up in this gratitude that I thank, God, universe, life for one more day. And then when I look at my day, and I'm asking myself, okay, so if that were the last day of my life, how do I want to live it? And that's why, for me, family is a very important, big part of it. So I always want to make sure that I spend enough time, or I say things to my family members that if it was the last thing I said, that's what they will be remembering, right? And so you go to sleep, or you go on a trip somewhere with the full peace that, you are in a completion and gratitude.
You're doing a great job, but a lot of people are not able to do it because they don't know. And then they've lost somebody, and the grief comes to them. So some of them are the kind of people I coach. And what works very well is to be able to express it post facto. Start expressing it. Start writing it out. Start putting it in words and putting the energies of gratitude out to their pictures. Some of them are grieving so deeply that they can't see the pictures.
Yeah.
But I tell them this, that while they were alive, were you always physically with them? No. But their essence was with you. So imagine they're in the other room, because they as well could be, and do this work. It takes one session to make a big shift, a shift that has blocked people for years. One session of gratitude to do that.
Absolutely, and as I said, I lost, a fair number of people, and about some of them I was not peaceful about their passing. So what you said, it was exactly this, that to do this work of the, gratitude. So when you actually do say things you wish you have said, or maybe you ask for forgiveness for something you did and you wish you didn't. So, but you do it for you, first of all. Yes. And at the same time, of course, I did some of that work myself, some of this with other guides in my life. So I feel that, I don't even know if you're offering this, but I'm just saying out there that, if people want, guidance to process also that, together with what we talked today about renewal and success, but it is also, how to process grief and dealing with death, then I feel you would be a really good person to talk to, Sandeep.
Be happy.
That was an unusual dive. I was coming here today and I'm like, do I'm going to ask him about death or not? I mean, this is kind of, vulnerable, especially on camera. And also what our audience doesn't know, and I'm going to tell it right now, that actually you are our first interview for the Renewal season. Right, because which is a beautiful coincidence, because I just finished my, maternity leave. Actually, the baby is still very, very small, but then we are going back to the studio and recording those interviews again. And yours today, the first one. So I feel just very honored to have you in the studio, Sandeep. And thank you for sharing your wisdom, your life experiences, and being with us today.
Thank you, Yana.
And that was Sandeep Nath on Yana TV today, talking about the emptiness of success and renewal and how you can be the part of the solution. The warning, okay, if you're not willing to dive deep, just turn off, go away. So this is only for those who are ready to go deep.